Hi, Michael and Michelle Williams. My name is Jackie Micklejohn, and I'm going to be helping you through the financial planning process. I just want to start off by saying I'm so excited to have you here with me today, and thank you for getting your information into me. So, today we can dive deeper into your current financial goals that you have, and we can figure out ways to help you through that process and to make things easier on you guys. Um, as I get going here, I just want to say feel free to ask any questions at any time. If there's any information you notice that I am talking about that isn't correct, or you just have questions, please stop me so I can clarify or we can get the correct information. Just, just to start off, I would like to go over some background information. And like I said before, please, if something is incorrect, please correct me so then we can be on the same page and get all of our information the same. So, Michael, you are age 35. You're a doctor with a salary of $170,000. Your personal current insurance coverage is life insurance, disability insurance, malpractice insurance, and you would like to retire at age 67 or before. Michelle, you are also the age of 35. You're self employed with an online business, if I am correct, and your salary varies depending on the year. And your current insurance coverage is you have life insurance, and you would also like to retire at the age of 67 or before. Continuing with more background information, you together you guys have three children, correct? Bo, who is 7, Elizabeth, who is 5, and Madison, who is 2. Your insurance coverage, you have a health insurance coverage that covers all of your children and yourselves through the hospital. You have auto insurance for all of your cars, and you do have home insurance. Continuing on, we're going to talk about our cash flow statement. This is a really important part of the financial planning process. It's this is going to show us how much money we have coming in and how much money we have going out and what we have left over so we can invest in different things or do different things with that money. And we'll use that leftover cash to hopefully help you with your financial goals that you have given me. But so to just go over our inflows, we have our income. And Michael, we talked about your salary. You are receiving a gift from your parents of $20,000. Um, Michelle, for on our cash flow statement, we have your self-employment income of 4,000. And I know when on some of the information you sent me, we're predicting a much larger income for you this coming year with your business. And if I remember correctly, that was roughly around $90,000. I did not include that $90,000 within our cash flow statements because number one, it's not guaranteed. I mean, that's just a number that is an estimate. And also, I would having that $90,000 of income, if we don't have to use that to reach our goals and we can maneuver our current inflows and outflows to make it work so we don't have to use that 90,000, that'd be awesome because then you guys are going to have that much more money to help you with different things. And then we have interest of $500,000. So reaching a total inflows of $194,900. So our outflows are going to include different things through our just mortgage payments, taxes, insurance premiums that we're having to pay, auto stuff, and then just anything that you guys are taking that you're expensing throughout the year. And so our total outflows reach $170,000 $170,856. So our net cash flows, we have a surplus of $24,000. This number looks awesome right now. I am a bit concerned about our outflows. I think it is, I think there are we have a lot of outflows right now. And I will get into more of that stuff as we look at our financial goals. But I think there are areas where we're going to want to budget and cut back some of our finances in certain areas, especially with the financial goals that you guys have. I think it might be a little tough to swing some of the things, but that we'll get into more as we talk about um, our financial goals. So moving on, we're gonna talk about our net worth statement. So this is pretty much taking our assets and our liabilities, so assets minus our liabilities, to get what you guys are worth right now. And so our total cash equivalents, we have roughly around $7,500. We have some invested assets, but I would like to look us into investing more so we can help with our retirement funds. And then we have our personal use assets. So that's going to be your house, your auto, different things like that. So our assets are equivalent to $393,000. So our liabilities, we have our credit card, our loans. We have current liabilities of $43,000. We have long-term liabilities, mortgage, student loans, different things like that for $275,000 with total liabilities of $275,950. This is another number that I'm hoping we can start to chip away at. We would like to have, your net worth is good, but we can continue to make it better. So continuing on, I would just like to talk about some of the financial goals that you guys presented to me. So first off, you want to provide Bo and Elizabeth, your two oldest, with up to $25,000 in today's dollars per year for 4 years of college education. Assist Michael's parents in their retirement years as needed. You want to design a retirement plan that will provide an income to replace 70% of Michael's pre-retirement income. Want to make necessary arrangements for Madison so that she will be cared for throughout her adult life. And if I am correct, she does have as you guys stated in your information, that she has a disability, and we will get further into that. Want to maintain an adequate emergency fund of 6 months living expenses, and prepare proper wills and estate plans. One thing I just want to talk about a little bit as we're looking at your goals is that we have quite a few goals here that are going to take some financial needs to provide what you guys are asking. And like I was talking about, we might have to minimize some of our expenses to be able to do that. But that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys with that and to show you what ways we can go about that. But I would like to ask you guys a little bit more on prioritizing our financial goals. We have some stuff here, but with our current situation, I think we need to prioritize some that are more important than others at the current time. And then we can focus more on those. And as we start paying off liabilities and doing different things like that, then we can start putting more money towards different things. But we'll continue talking about that as we go through our goals. First off, I would like to talk about our retirement plan. So you guys indicated that you would like 70% of Michael's income as your replacement income. Since, Michael, you are still pretty young at 35, we anticipate that your salary is going to grow 3% annually. So if we're working till we're 67, that's another 32 years of your salary growing. So roughly by the end of your career, we anticipate you're going to be making $437,800. With that being said, 70% of that, we're going to need a yearly replacement of $306,400 for 25 years. That gives us a current pot at once you guys turn 67, we'll need $11 million roughly within our retirement fund. And considering you guys are currently only at $10,000 in that retirement fund, this will be challenging. But I'm going to show you different options that we can look at to help you achieve these goals. Currently, to reach this goal, we need a monthly contribution of $17,700. And like I said, that's pretty unrealistic with you guys, being you have 3 young children and you have other aspirations. But we're going to work out a way so we can make sure you guys have a good chunk of retirement set up, so once it is time to retire, you're not hanging out dry. So currently we have a contribution with the employer's contribution of $17,000. So Michael, I see you're taking out 7% of your current salary, which is $11,900, and putting that towards, and then your employer contribution. You guys are reaching the max. The employer will match a max of $5,100, so he is contributing that. And with that, your total contribution for the year is $17,000. This is good. I want us to keep contributing to this fund and not to get discouraged based off of the big numbers that we see. There's ways that we can help our retirement plan. And then something that's really cool that I would just like to bring up, I know it's going to be 15 years down the road when you guys turn 50, but there is a rule. Once you guys turn 50, there's a catch-up contribution. So you can add that $6,500 in 15 years onto that 17 if we stay at that 17. So that'll be super helpful because you can have, if you're working till you're 67, you'll have another 17 years of that. So just some options that I would like us to think about this retirement plan. Since these numbers look scary and these numbers look big, I don't want us to get scared over what's happening. We have ways that we can manipulate things and we can help you guys reach a sufficient amount of retirement funds. So some options that we can look into. We can invest more. We can take a more aggressive investing route so that when you guys are receiving money from your investments, it's going to be a bigger lump sum. So the more risk that we take in our investments, the more likely we are to receive a better return. But the more risks we do take, the more likely it is to see things where we could have losses. But you guys are young, so I don't want us to get caught up in the losses and stuff. So I think maybe if we take a more aggressive investment route, we can make up some of this ground within this retirement plan. That's one option. Lower the replacement income. I think right now 70%, looking at that $306,000 when you're at that age of 67 and older, maybe that amount is just higher than what you guys are going to need. and that knowing whether we want to lower a replacement income percentage is going to depend on what you guys want your retirement to look like, how you want your lifestyle to be in your retirement. Another option that I thought would be interesting is if Michelle created a SEP IRA, a SEP plan. Michelle, you currently don't have any, you're not putting any money aside for that retirement fund. And so I think what is cool about creating a SEP plan is SEP plans are geared for people who are self-employed, um, small businesses and people who are self-employed. The cool thing is that it decreases your taxable income. So let's say you have an awesome year, Michelle, like you're predicted this next year, and you have this extra money that you're like, what should we do with it? This is a time and place where we can add more money to that retirement fund, and that will take our taxable income down. And then another cool thing about the SEP plan is that there's a high contribution limit. So like I said, let's say you have a really good year and you want to contribute some extra to that retirement fund, you can, because there's no limits on you there, or there's a higher limit on you there. But if you have a bad year, then you don't have to contribute as much, which I think is really cool. And then I know you stated in your information that you don't want to rely on Social Security for this retirement plan, which I totally understand. It's not something you want to hope for and bank on, but it is going to help us when we're planning for that, the money needs that you have for that Social Security. That Social Security will help. Next, I would like to get into our college education. You guys informed me that you would like to create funds for both Bo and Elizabeth to have $25,000 for for 4 years, or roughly $100,000 for both of them as they're in college for their undergrad. I think my recommendation would be to create 529 college savings plans for both. One benefit that I see from them is that they are tax-free. Taking the calculations into consideration, there is a 5% educational consumer price index, so that is going to be an increase in costs. So for Bo to have this money when he turns 18, we're going to have to pay yearly roughly around $8,000 and monthly set aside $683 for Bo's account. And then Elizabeth, since she is a bit younger, we have 13 years to build this fund. And so yearly we're going to be paying roughly around $6,723 and monthly $560 so we can get those two to college. I'm assuming that this is a pretty important financial goal for you guys. So I would like to do what we can to make this one work. Moving on, I'd like to talk about a mortgage refinance. One of your guys' financial goals was having your mortgage paid off by the time you guys are 55. So that gives us 20 years. Your current mortgage is at $225,000. Yearly, you're paying $20,700 and monthly $1,725. So I looked into refinancing this loan to a 3.5% 15-year mortgage, and we're actually going to save money by doing this, which is super exciting. By refinancing it, we're going to pay yearly $19,536, and monthly we're going to pay $1,628. So savings-wise, it looks like we're going to save $97 a month and $1,164 a year. There is a stipulation that comes with refinancing, and there is a closing cost, and I believe it is 3% of your mortgage at refinancing, and that is not considered in these payments. So once we'll have a refinancing closing cost of $6,750, but based upon what we're going to be saving per year, and we have this for 15 years, I don't see this. I see this still as a great option because we're gonna well exceed that $6,750 just in savings for those 15 years. Continuing on to Madison, you guys have showed that making sure Madison is okay is really important to you guys. And so, what I'm going to recommend here is that we create a special needs trust. The cool thing about a special needs trust is that you can receive income without reducing Madison's eligibility for public assistance. So those different government grants and government assistance Madison can receive, this special needs trust isn't going to take her out of the running for things like that. So how it works is it's a percent of financial needs that are not covered by public assistance. That percentage that isn't covered will come out of this special needs trust for the money that she needs. One thing to think about with Madison though is guardian care if something were to happen with either of you guys, and that can be included in that special needs trust. And I know Michelle, you talked about how you have a sister that isn't wants to be involved with your children and is willing to help with things like this. So I just saw that within your information, so I wasn't sure if that was a for sure thing with her or not. And with looking at this special needs trust, I think it's important that we start saving pretty quick, even if it's small amounts of money. We saw even with Bo only being 5 years older, and Elizabeth, how much it's going to take to save money for them. Whereas if we start now when she's 2, even if it's a small amount, I think it's going to make a huge difference in the amount in the trust. And I think this is a good route for her in the way of we're not going to take her out of receiving Social Security benefits or different things like that. Michael, you expressed how important your parents are to you. And so you talked about how you'd like to help your parents through retirement. Um, the one thing I'm going to say is you both you guys have your own financial goals that you want to meet and stuff. And being as you guys are young and you have kids, money isn't always necessarily easy to come by. And so this is where I talk about our prioritizing. And so with your parents' retirement, I'm not saying that we don't want to help them. I'm not saying anything like that. But I think one thing that'll help is to know how much we are going to have to help them is considering their own financial goals and their current cash flow needs. And you guys considering yours, where you guys are at. And then they do have a source of income coming from the deli. And so I would like to look into whether that income is enough to fund them through their retirement or if not. And if we need to look at ways to help them save or to help them invest in things. And then another option to help with your parents' retirement to think about would be to sell the deli and use the income from the sale to invest and save to help with help with retirement. They have that asset that maybe if they sell it, they can receive it in lump sum. So they won't have to receive it all at once. They could receive it in small distributions that could help them throughout their retirement. And then once we assess whether they're at and what their needs are going to be and if that income isn't enough and they decide not to sell or different things, we can go through and reevaluate if there isn't enough to support the two, and then we can further help them along those lines. Another financial goal that you guys had was creating an emergency fund. And so your current living expenses, so your emergency fund is related to your living expenses. And that we recommend that you have from 3 months to 6 months of your expenses for set aside for an emergency fund if something were to happen. If one of you were to lose your job and it took you some time to get back on your feet, just different things like that. And you guys indicated you want 6 months of this. So taking that into consideration, we're going to need to maintain an emergency fund of $85,000. And your current emergency fund is $5,000. So once again, that's kind of a large number. We don't just have $80,000 lying around to put into this fund. And so I think this is going to take some time for us to go to build, which is totally fine. Like I stated earlier, I think right now a lot of the things are going to be putting aside a small amount of money now and continuing to grow and be able to add more as we can. And then we can also look into maybe not needing the 6 month emergency fund, but keeping a 3 month emergency fund, which is still $42,000. And that's still, 3 months is still really good to have. So we don't need to go for that aggressive 6 months right away. One area of concern that I saw with you guys was that we have no wills set up. And so for our will preparation, there are things that I want us to think about. So we need to determine our assets and where we want them to be going. Okay? Where do we want to see all this stuff going? We need to choose our executor and our beneficiaries. So who's going to be in charge of these wills? Who's going to make sure that things are done the way that they should be? And then who is going to be receiving the funds, the assets, those types of things from the wills? And then I think an important step, as I touched on it earlier, was establishing a guardian for Madison. Madison is very, very important to you guys. And so we want to make sure that she is taken care of the best way possible. And another thing you expressed is saving money through estate taxes. We don't want to be paying a hefty amount and things like that. And so there are a couple different things I've looked into that we can save money in those estate tax areas, and that's gift giving. So gifting some of your assets and some of those things to your children or whoever else you want to give them to. Creating an irrevocable life insurance trust. And so what that is, it's basically a thing to control our own term or life insurance policy while the insured is alive, so you guys, and then proceeds of this irrevocable life insurance trust are paid out at your death. And so we can make sure that your children are the ones that are receiving things like this, but this is a way to avoid some of that estate tax. And then through donations, that's another way that we can avoid some of those estate taxes. So we've gone through all of your financial goals. I don't want, like I said before, I don't want you guys to get discouraged because, yes, it probably is like, oh my, it looks like it's a lot right now. It looks intimidating. There's a lot of things out there, but I think one thing that's going to benefit us is that we prioritize some of these goals. We see which ones that need to get done sooner rather than later, and we work on those, and then we can work on more as we continue to surpass some of those goals. So some recommendations. I'm just going to go through our recommendations here. Create special needs trust for Madison. Create those 529 plans for Bo and Elizabeth. Adjust our retirement goals. Some of these we're going to have a tough time getting all of these done now, which that is okay. That's okay. We can work with things. Michael's I think Michael's parents need to assess their current situation, and then we see if we need to step in and help. Um, Gradually put away money when possible in our emergency fund. We want to refinance that mortgage so we can save that money and put that stuff towards something else. And then we want to budget a little more. When I was looking through our cash flows, I was a little concerned with our income tax numbers, our our housekeeping service. I mean, to reach some of our goals, we're gonna have to budget. And so these are just a couple of things that I thought maybe we could take out or minimize. Our dry cleaning. And so if you guys can brainstorm and think about some of those things and see where we can cut some expenses so we can reach all of our goals, that would be awesome. And then get back to me and we can continue to talk about things. And then we're going to have some cash flow problems for a little bit. Just because we have funds that we want to make sure you guys are set for retirement. We want to make sure your kids are set for school. We want to make sure Madison is taken care of, and we want to make sure if anything happens to you guys that we have an emergency fund set aside. And so all of these are very, very important, but I think it's going to come down to prioritizing and seeing which ones are the most important for us right now and achieving those. And then I also don't want you guys to, one thing to keep in mind is I included 4,000 of Michelle's income. If you do reach that 90,000 this year, we have 85 before taxes. We have $85,000 that we can also help put towards our retirement or the kids' college fund, different things like that. And Michael, if you continue to work where you're at and move up, your salary is gonna increase. So as we start paying off those mortgages and things start getting smaller, we're gonna have more funds to do with more things. So the biggest thing to take away from this today is don't become discouraged. Just we're gonna keep plugging away at this, and we're gonna help you guys the best way that we can possible to figure out and achieve these financial goals. I'd just like to thank you one last time for coming in. And I would like to set up a follow-up meeting again so we can talk about what we're going to prioritize and kind of the other things that we talked about moving forward. And I'd like to thank you guys. If any of your information changes within the time that we are not in contact, please let me know as soon as possible so I can update my information and we can get things changed as we need. Thanks again for coming in. Have a great day.